And yes, not just during the time that he was in Harrisburg, but he went back to the private sector. And let me just explain why this is the perfect recipe for success. He helps then Governor Corbyn and others get that cracker plant with Shell, that petrochemical plant that's going to bring billions to this region, cleaned up a very sore place when it comes to the soil and the environment, millions and billions spent, but also going to be powering America, bringing feeder stock in. And then after doing all of that for us, he steps aside and goes to Shell USA, a different entity connected to that name, but in a different place. And he does a partnership to build something for a community like Beaver County and the surrounding tri-state to bring their young student athletes to, that I see every night on my way home and every morning on my way to work. So it's about one aspect of business in politics, getting in and then getting out, and then in the private sector, taking business and basically dovetailing it to where it can help the community as well. That is why, Mr. Christiana, you're here tonight, job creation, but especially with this U.S. Steel story, it's about a bag of groceries. It's about keep people working. And even members of the USW are saying, we want this deal to get done. And everybody keeps saying, well, wait a minute. Please explain that recipe for success when it comes to government and business and the public and private sector. Go right ahead. Good evening.
Good evening, Rob. Thanks for having me on. I think back to 2012 when we had heard about a petrochemical plant and a cracker plant, and really nobody in this area had heard of it because it was mostly the entire industry was in the Gulf Coast. And we were competing, a lot of my colleagues from Harrisburg and Scranton and Philadelphia forget, how far west we are from them. And we are the last stop on the turnpike before you get into Ohio. And at that time, we were competing against Ohio, West Virginia, and obviously Beaver County was the chosen site for Pennsylvania. And it was a several $billion investment. And what we had to do at that time was we had to bring together labor and industry. The Chamber of Commerce and unions back in 2012 really didn't get along in public policy very much. They were oil and water. And then we had to get, higher education and the local community on board. And it took a lot of work. So when you can bring labor and industry, Democrats, Republicans, Philadelphia, Scranton, and Beaver County together, you can get some stuff done. I thought that was going to be kind of the case study of how to get something monumental done in Harrisburg, and it was. Unfortunately, just hasn't been replicated a lot since then.
So how then when you got into the private sector, started this thing that is the M7 agency doing incredible things, now a certified licensed NFL agent. What you were able to do with Shell USA, put this beacon in Beaver County off the Aliquippa exit, is amazing. I never would have thought I would have seen something like this, but it gives people who are working hard a chance to stay close to home after work and take their student athletes someplace that they can hone their skills. When was it that you knew that, hey, different aspect of Shell, but maybe I can pull this off? And what was the reasoning behind it? Obviously, the love of sports, I get that, but what was the reasoning behind it?
Well, the reasoning was that for a lot of reasons, uh, Beaver County and I would say the airport region, just that we have not had a facility where our kids and our families can utilize. They're in other parts of the region, but I was just talking to somebody tonight from Sewickley who had come over, and his son goes to Monroeville for practice. Like, you think about two sets of tunnels, even if you go around the city just for practice. And hey, it is what it is. I'll tell you. I saw a problem. I put together a plan. I had a vision, and you need two things to execute. You need vision and execution, right? That's how you make change. That's how you get stuff done. You need to have the vision, and you need to execute and have this relentless commitment to do it. And I did. I had a relentless commitment to do it. How the partnership with Shell came about was, again, it was a stumbling block. I thought that the county was going to partner with us in order to make this happen, in order to make it economically competitive. At the last minute. I'd actually signed the contract with the county. They pulled the rug out and almost killed the deal. So I went to Shell and I said, "Listen, we've got this thing all the way inside the red zone. We just got to punch it in. Can you help partner?" And they were so gracious and willing to do it when they heard about the vision and what we had in mind and the need. When we told them, like, these are the kind of assets that we really need around the cracker plant and in the region, and that's what's going to keep your employees wanting to live here. It's what's going to attract people to this area, and ultimately, it's what the community just flat out needed. And they have been incredible partners the whole time.
All right, so we're going to go full circle on why you're here as far as job creation, but I want to finish about this incredible complex that was, get the naming rights, Shell USA, not the same entity here in Beaver County, but out of Houston, Texas, is the fact that when Mike Boriski of Lincoln Park said to me, "Hey, did you hear about," and I already had known about it, that's when I knew that you were onto something special. And today, exchanging text messages with Coach Petchcash of Pine, Richland, and DeGregorio of North Allegheny, it's almost like I want to say, look, can we do this little video to promote your game Friday at M7? Every high school coach that I've been talking to, but especially my love of basketball in recent weeks, Eastern Ohio, wherever, I've been talking about this facility because it's such a crown jewel, and obviously I never thought in my lifetime I would see something like this. But it's there now, and if it was ever meant for anything, it was meant for basketball. So this must make you feel really good that you were able to get this thing onto the launching pad and get it to the finish line, just like you and Governor Corbett and others did when you were in office with that Shell cracker plant. Things can get done. If you believe it, you can achieve it, right?
Amen. I mean, it starts with a vision, and there has to be this you have to have this remarkable boldness. At the end of the day, it was almost reckless for me in order to green light this project, because let's be honest, I I didn't have the ability to write a $3 million check to do it, but I made, every investment that I could. My employees made every investment they could in order to get it, all the way to the red zone. And then, thanks to Shell and Rob Matsey and Elder Vogel, they helped put us over the goal line. It's being used by thousands of families and athletes every day. I was there this evening, and there was 100 volleyball players in there, while families were down on the indoor batting cages, and 4 Central Valley players were doing a training session on the turf with 2 of their coaches. So at the end of the day, we had the athletic director from Swickley Academy there talking about lacrosse. I mean, it's a regional asset. That's why it's called M7 Sports Pittsburgh, because it is an asset for all of Pittsburgh.
I absolutely love it. And I'll end on the sports aspect of our conversation. It also helps when you have a volleyball team headed back to the Final Four in the University of Pittsburgh. Look, I'm old enough to remember, and I've done play-by-play in every aspect, even high school wrestling, doing volleyball games with maybe a half a dozen, and I mean a half a dozen people in an auditorium or a gymnasium that could seat maybe 2,000 or 3,000. That sport has come a long way. But that's the other aspect about this M7 agency and this Shell complex. Lacrosse, volleyball, basketball, out of the elements, short drive from anywhere in the tri-state. Come one, come all. And it really is the old adage, build it and they will come. People are discovering this, realizing it's nice not to be exhausted after a 2-hour driving in bumper-to-bumper traffic, that you can actually go and sit, relax, get something to eat, and watch your children work out and do the sport that they love, right?
Amen. Yeah, speaking of wrestling, an awesome sport, and we have, I think, one of the premier up-and-coming young coaches, Cole Nye. He was a Division I wrestler at the University of Pittsburgh. He was a state champion for Pennsylvania, 2-time state champion, and he is a remarkable youth coach. And he does classes 2 days a week, and he does Friday Night Live on Friday, where they get to actually do some matches. Cole, you heard it here first. Cole is a world-class wrestling coach, and the people of Pittsburgh are getting to benefit from him and his talent.
Listen, you won't have to call me twice to promote anything you're doing there. I'm just so happy that it's in this part of the country and these young athletes are getting a chance to utilize it. Okay, we're going to come back, and I got to hit them hard with some of these job creation questions, because I'm just getting very frustrated. And this isn't a Democratic or a Republican issue. It's just about putting people back to work. And as I like to say, It's about a bag of groceries. Stay with us. He's Jim Christiana. I'm Rob Pratt. And if you want to watch this interview stream live, go to kdkradio.com and click on KDK Watch. From M7, that agency, he is the guy. Jim Christiana and I coming back with your Pratt Pack in a couple of moments on KDK. Stay with us. In a distressed neighborhood where the city of Pittsburgh owns dozens of dangerous and decrepit homes, code inspectors descended on the aging brick house with the condemned sign plastered on the porch, the rotting roof, boarded up windows, and an awning that hangs precariously in front were enough for inspectors 3 years ago to declare the house a public hazard needed immediate attention. Inspectors gave the city 30 days to respond, but when the crews returned, they found the same crumbling facade with broken bricks tumbling onto the sidewalk. Once again, the inspectors gave the city another 30 days to make the repairs, and once again, local officials failed to respond. So these were homes built a long time ago by hardworking people, many immigrants coming to this country illegally through Ellis Island, and it was up to us to carry on that great tradition of home ownership, leadership, manufacturing, working-class jobs, and we dropped the ball. I've seen others in public office who've taken the ball and run with it. You did it with that Shell cracker plant. You had those 8,000 building trade jobs, those paychecks. You cleaned up the mess that was left behind. This U.S. Steel situation, you got both the Republican, President Trump to be again, current President Joe Biden talking about blocking it. Look, bottom line is the idea with government, in my opinion, with respect to both of those individuals, and especially President Trump to be the president again, I think perfect for what our country needs. Everybody has to understand this is the global economy. Shell Oil, Royal Dutch Shell, the Netherlands, one of the Fortune 500 companies continuing to guide the world. We have to be all in on the global economy, and we can't keep taking away these jobs, especially from U.S. Steel, who's talking about this deal in the pond bringing $1 billion to the Mon Valley. Why can't we see what's happening here? And that's why this mayor's race is so important, and why I'm so excited that another young guy is going to run. Mayor, of course, Bob O'Connor's son, Corey O'Connor. So just try, if you can, to make sense of why we continue to see America crumbling in front of our very eyes.
Well, I'll tell you what worked in Beaver County was being opportunistic, right? And there's this trap in politics, and that is that, and it happened for about 30 years where we kept promising I say we, but our politicians kept promising to bring back the steel industry. But the problem was that those opportunities weren't there any longer. And then all of a sudden we have to reinvent ourselves. We have to get our workforce ready. So now there is this opportunity to kind of reinvent the steel industry and reinvest. What I will say is that I do trust that Donald Trump will do two things. He is about America first. So the fact that these jobs would be located here in the United States, and this is investment here. But if you watched him today, I think that's an indication of how President Trump operates. I think he thinks this is a bad deal and that he personally has the ability to make the deal even better. I don't think he's opposed to foreign companies dumping boatloads of dollars into the United States. He's very clear he's for that. But when he looks at the CEO today and says, hey, how about you make that $200 billion investment? And the guy looks back at him and says, he's a pretty good negotiator. Donald Trump is one of one in the negotiation. So my instinct is that, if this deal doesn't get done in the next, 25 days or so, however long, based on who a lot of Donald Trump's allies are advocating for this deal to get done, I think Donald Trump has the talent, ability, and it is consistent with his policy platform that he will negotiate this deal, and it'll be even better than the one that's on the table.
Well, let me tell you why you're still the smartest man in the room. And I had no idea you were going to go with that angle, and that angle makes more sense, and it makes me probably have a better night's sleep tonight, because I've been just really losing sleep, honestly, over this possibility of this deal not getting done. But here's a story from earlier today. Donald Trump, by now, has already had the conversation, but this story earlier today said that he will join SoftBank Group CEO Masha Onason at his Florida home, Mar-a-Lago, of course, to announce the company's planning to invest $100 billion into U.S. projects over the next 4 years. And that's a Japanese company, and Nippon Steel. So once again, young man, you get a gold star. I mean, that's
And he looked at him at the press conference when he's about to get $100 billion deal, and he says, "Hey, how about you make it 200 billion?" And the guy says, "I'll see what I can do." He's a tough negotiator. Like, the fact that Donald Trump might be able to take this deal from 1 billion to 5 billion, I think is very realistic. I don't want to overpromise that because I don't know, but that is very consistent with
because
the
here,
way he
Jim, here's the
operates.
thing. The reason I mean, I could see Joe Biden, with all due respect, it is what it is. And there's always been this thing, and I'm a Democrat, about Democrats and union members. Look, I support unions. Republicans support unions. You work with unions at that Shell petrochemical plant, 8,000 strong, day after day, week after week, year after year. But I kept saying, well, he's done the global economy. The guy understands. He's worked with some of the best building trades and labor unions in the country in New York and New Jersey. What am I missing here? Well, now I know it's all about the deal and renegotiating and trying to get the best deal for you, but in the end, a good deal for everyone. So that makes all the sense in the world, and he's just riding it out until he gets in that position to where he can start laying down some of what he thinks the deal needs to be. And in the end, Nippon Steel will win, but so will the Mon Valley. And if they win with even more assets in this country, then everybody wins. So you're right. It's about renegotiating the negotiated deal.
If Joe Biden has a deal on the table for 1 billion, I think the most staunch blue blood Democrats would admit that Donald Trump would be interested in coming in and getting a $2 billion deal. At the end of the day, if he could get a $2 billion deal and his predecessor had a $1 billion deal on the table, it's very likely that could be his angle, is to get a better deal. And is that a bad thing at the end of the day? No, I think it's better for the Mon Valley and the region, and I think it's very consistent with the way he operates.
All right. So, look, neither one of us are against technology. Absolutely love it. I'd love them to invest even more. I love the fact that Elon Musk is going to be a part of this administration. And I'll say it again. He's everything that's good in America. He's this generation's Henry Ford and Howard Hughes and beyond. He's done things that Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, Wozniak could never do, because it comes back to building things. Yeah, the tech jobs were the blue-collar jobs, but the real blue-collar jobs are needed now in the building trades, in the steel industry, and energy, because we need to build back America, something that President Trump has been saying since he was president the first time. So talk to me about why you too, as I do, believe that building things with your hands is essential to make America grow, and I mean grow big and faster than ever before.
It's why the richest people, some of the most wealthy individuals in history of the world came during the Industrial Revolution. It's what made America truly great. It is what has differentiated us from the rest of the world. Is not only do we have, brilliant people like Elon Musk living here, but we have people like our ancestors that got up at 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning and went and worked in terrible environments for 12, 16-hour days. Why? That's how you provide for your family. At the end of the day, that's what we're called to do. As men and women from this area, it's what we've even somebody like me who was born and raised in Beaver County, but I never remember because I wasn't around when the steel industry was in its peak. There's still part of this manufacturing culture that is important, and that is that you go put on your work boots, even if they're wing tips, and it's a suit. If it's a three-piece suit, or if it's a hard hat, like you go in and you go get it the next day. That's what you do. This region has always believed in it, and I think it's the most satisfying thing that you can do. And when your kids look up to you and they see that you go to work every day and you just bust your butt. It's the greatest thing you have.
Here's
It's the
the deal.
greatest thing you have.
Here's the deal that I always make with him. I'll give him a chance to promote M7 because I believe in it, but I just need some of his expertise every once in a while to talk me off the ledge when I lose sleep over the possibility of more steel jobs leaving Western Pennsylvania. So in the final 2 minutes, it's all yours. Explain about this sports complex underwritten, of course, that brand name Shell USA out of Houston, giving so many young student athletes a chance to shine and enjoy their sport close to home. Go ahead.
It's probably the most rewarding thing that I've ever done in my professional life. It is, I saw a guy tonight from Sewickley who was there. His son was wrestling. And this dude is really, really successful. I know where he lives, and actually I'm very friends with his neighbors. And his reaction when he said, I didn't know what to expect when I came over here tonight, and I was blown away. We have a partnership with Chick-fil-A, and so we're able to, people to come have dinner and stay there with their family. And it's really, really amazing. The team that we've assembled, Mike, our vice president of operations, and Maria, they're just amazing assets. It's really cool. Come and see it. That's all I can say is you will not be disappointed.
Only you would get the prime cut as far as Chick-fil-A is concerned, the best in the business. The chicken sandwich that until they came to the mall, I would travel miles to bring them home to my children. So listen, keep up the great work. I'm so proud to call you a friend. And when I look at you, I see progress, and that makes me hopeful as far as my children and grandchildren. Keep up the great work, okay?
Thanks for everything, Rob. Thanks for having me on.
There he goes, Jim Christiana. He's just going to renegotiate the deal. Now I know what's going on. All right, stay with us. Boy, he's a smart guy.